So, what is the difference between hiring somebody from the university campus and using AI? Agreed, doesn't seems to be a fair comparison, but let me talk this through. When you go ahead and hire somebody from an university campus, the individual student went through the same classrooms, listened to the same lectures, had access to the same set of books, had access to the same set of resources, and even went through same set of examinations to get the degree. But each and every individual will be different. They will be having different thought process, different way of making decisions. On the other hand, let's talk about different AI models. Same technologies, same training data, same post training steps, and maybe even the individuals doing the post training are similar set of people, which means we are going to get similar set of results from different AI models, unlike my university hires. And this is where the term TrendSlop comes into picture, and I am not saying it. It is being said by Harvard Business Review. It has recently published an article titled Researchers Asked LLM for Strategic Advice. Remember, strategic advice, they got TrendSlop in return. Okay. And this is one of the most important thing you must know if you are a business executive or taking any decisions related to your strategy in your business, organization, or teams. Now, I'm not going to read through this completely. I'm going to give you the crux of it so that you can take a better decision. If you want to read it, I'll give the link in the description. Here is one of the most important thing written in this particular article, and I really liked it. Leadership might assume LLMs are able to offer a kind of unbiased outside perspective because they are trained on huge set of data. Absolutely correct. But unfortunately, that might be a mistake. An LLM is not the colleague who critically evaluates current ideas, look into contextual specific things, stress tests assumptions, and pushes back when everyone gets comfortable. Now, this is one of the most important line of this article. All of you know that when you are using LLM, it's kind of designed to make sure that you are keep on talking to it. It doesn't irritates you no matter what you tell the LLM. It doesn't irritates you, but your business partners will. Your stakeholders will irritate you. The data you gather out of all the surveys may irritate you. The opinion of other stakeholders and data should reflect this because everyone's stake is on the table. And there is a real loss that will be felt by someone, not with the AI. And now look at the next line. On strategy, LLMs might be more akin to a freshly minted MBA or a junior consultant parroting. Remember, parroting what's popular rather than what's right for a particular situation. It's parroting what it has learned. And this article is not saying this on air. They did some kind of test, and I'm going to talk about the areas of tests. So, first set of test cases were done on exploration versus exploitation. So, in a nutshell, this means that whether you are keep on milking your cash cows or you are going to build something totally new. Now, let me give you some context. Look at the FMCG industry. Are you gonna explore the toothpaste or soap, or you are gonna exploit the existing mechanism that is there, maybe build a new packaging, build a new way of selling, build a new marketing strategy, or you are gonna go ahead and build new soap and new toothpastes, or maybe what it means to use a soap or a toothpaste. Maybe you can, but this is a kind of industry specific things, and what LLM suggests, let's go ahead and see in this paper itself. There is a set of recommendations provided based on the paper, and this is the test that's being done. What the crux of this test looks like is that LLM on the strategic level, on a broader level, only gives you the buzzword which looks nice, looks well, not irritating, and looks like this is the way to go ahead, go further. And they have checked with ChatGPT, Claude, DeepSeek, GPT, Gemini, Grok, Mistral. And let's look into this particular context, exploration versus exploitation. Here, Mistral and maybe ChatGPT and Grok. Yep, I'm correct. It's more towards exploitation, but everybody else says exploration. Mind you, they are giving these recommendations irrespective of the industry you are in. Now, you might say context window. They did some tests with the context window also, and you will be surprised to see those test results. I will talk about this in a moment. But let's go to the next criteria. Centralization versus decentralization. Look, this is a one of the way where keyword makes more sense. You go ahead and say decentralized decision making, decentralized way of working, everything decentralized looks well, feels good. And let's see what's the LLM recommend in centralization versus decentralization. Overwhelmingly, everybody recommends decentralization. But tell me one thing, if you are a startup, okay, can you afford to do decentralization? Now, I'll tell you one thing, decentralized decision making is good, but ability to make a decision without owning the responsibility will lead to chaos and destruction. Let's go to the next criteria. Short term versus long term performance, and everybody knows what it means. Here is what this AI says. It's overwhelmingly saying that focus on long term, pretty much all the AI models now. I don't have any problem in focusing long term, but you will always have people whose immediate needs you have to satisfy, including your shareholders, your stakeholders. When you go ahead and join a job, you have a probation period of 3 to 6 months. You cannot start something long term in there. You have to satisfy people within 3 to 6 months to convert your probation to a permanent employment, right? So there will always be the case where you have to look at the short term, because short term may give you money to sustain for long term. Long term vision, long term thing is everything is fine, but you achieve those long term by focusing on immediate short term objectives. Let's go to the next criteria, competition versus collaboration. So basically it says that there are scenario where you are competing in a zero sum game, which means you are taking some market share of your competitor and effectively the market remains the same, market share remains the same, or you can just collaborate with your competitor to increase the market share. Here is what LLM says. You know, uh, it says collaboration, but what if your competitor is not willing to collaborate? Why someone will collaborate with you? Until unless you also have a competitive advantage. Collaboration happens on a level playing field where in one aspect I am good, in another aspect you are good. If you're not good in anything, nobody is going to collaborate with you. And collaboration is not that easy. Okay, and it's not that only by doing collaboration you increase the market share. Competition is also having some benefits, right? Let's go to the next criteria. Radical versus incremental innovation. Look, I have my own very, kind of deeply rooted thought process on this, but let's see what AI is saying. AI is saying overwhelmingly incremental innovation. Now, look, my experience tells me that incremental innovations are more prone to failure because people are so much used to of the previous version of the product. The incremental innovation is always going to disturb them, disturb their habit, disturb their way of working. And it's highly likely that people are not going to like it. They are not going to even look into the innovation aspect you are bringing in. So, incremental innovations, the success of that needs high effort. You have to convince a lot, and it has to be solving some of the problems which is really irritating people. If not, People are not going to look into your incremental innovation. And that's why, in a highly competitive environment, I would prefer to go ahead with the radical innovation and at the same time milking money with my current state of product rather than spending lots and lots of time in doing some incremental innovation. My thought process, but if you are using AI, it always tells you do incremental innovation. What's the other criteria? Differentiation versus commoditization. Look, if anything becomes abundant, it will become a commodity, whether you want it or not. What LLM tells that you should go ahead with differentiation all the time. Look, I'm a software developer. What is the kind of differentiation I can bring in with other software developers? Right? Maybe there are a few things, 19, 20, 9, 10 will be there. I may be better in a few things. But is that better required for your job to be completed, your work to be done? No. Similarly, when you use some open source software, you first see whether the existing mechanism, existing functionalities can help me to get the things I want to do. You are not looking for differentiating factors always, right? It's mostly the open source software that will allow people to use your product, experience your product, and a minute percentage of that may go to your differentiating offerings. So be careful with that, because if you ask AI, it will say differentiating. But here, one caveat, in this experiment, only Mistral is checked, I believe, in this particular commodity versus differentiation. So this is one aspect where only one model seems to be here. Not sure if this is a mistake, but even if I will ask my AI, it will try to make me happy. And I will not be happy by being a commodity. I'll happy by being something which is differentiating, mind-boggling. People are looking at me. So it will try to suggest me that. What's the other criteria? Automation versus augmentation. So if you look into the trends over a period of time on internet, everybody is talking about augmenting AI capabilities with individuals. That's went to the training data and it must be parroting the same thing. Yes, pretty much everyone says augmentation. Again, if I am working on a real-time system, I am building something where something goes wrong, like legal, audit, and anything, then it's more likely that I'll create a sophisticated automation test suits tested in lots of simulators before it's being sent out. So automation is also required, augmentation is also required, because augmentation may create better automations, but these kind of strategic choice you will not hear from the AI. So based on this picture, you can clearly see that the recommendation of AIs are biased no matter which AI you are going to make use of now. I know you are trying to talk about the context. What if I provide a different context? So in this particular article, here is one image where it is said that they did with ChatGPT around 15,000 trials and asked ChatGPT to consider the strategic needs of large multinational corporations, tech startups, craft breweries, investment banks, and many other variations. While the context tempered the LLM biases, context did change the biases of LLM, it still reliably leaned towards its original recommendation. So here is the experimentation they did. In each type of organization, they provided either no context, short context, or detailed context. Even after providing those context, they are mostly leaning toward differentiation, mostly leaning towards augmentation, mostly leaning towards long-term focus. This is surprising, okay? Because long-term focus never gives you immediate money, for sure. Centralization and decentralization, things are gonna, coming in the middle. Mostly incremental innovation, nobody is talking about kind of radical innovation. Always collaboration. What if nobody want to collaborate? Why they will collaborate? They may not collaborate for incremental innovation for sure. They may agree to collaborate for radical innovation. And similarly, between exploitation and exploration, everything is in middle. Look, things in middle will always give you trouble. You have to be clear, okay? Otherwise, it just like, by luck you hit the bullseye. Otherwise, it's very difficult, okay? You have to decide appropriately that what percent you are doing exploitation, what percentage you are doing exploration, and this must change based on your market dynamics, market scenario, and maybe what your stakeholders want. So, when I read this particular article, I realized this is something I want to talk about. I do hope and believe that I was able to give you the crux of it. Thank you all. Thanks for watching. With some other topic, I'll come back again. Good day, goodbye. You take care.